The Kansas City Chiefs sweep the Denver Broncos and win their 15th consecutive game over them. And there is a lot to take away from this game. But before we do dive into all of that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. Chiefs Kingdom. So how we're going to do this today is we're going to focus on the ugly, and we're going to focus on the good, and we're going to basically take everything away from this 27-24 victory over the Denver Broncos and basically dissect it in full. And first, we're going to start with the bad, because man, we got one more week to get this right. And it's weird to say, yes, the Kansas City Chiefs are 13-3. A magnificent season so far. Basically a rebuild season that everyone keeps saying was going to happen with the huge change this offseason, and they are still in contention for the #1 seed. But it just does not sit right with me. And the first thing we're going to dive into, and honestly, I'm getting tired of diving into it every single week, and I just wish it would get corrected. Actually, a few of these things I wish would get corrected, but we're going to start with the special teams. And I just don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever. They literally left. Now, it depends on how you look at it in this game, but they left 4 points on the board, and they basically gave up a touchdown. Now, the first huge miscue was, and this was on Tommy Townsend, he muffed the snap and didn't place it correctly, and Bucker basically stopped, didn't even try. He was like, we're not going to do anything with this. We're not going to attempt it, which ended up being a missed extra point, which basically, it didn't stall a huge drive, but it was 6-0 in Kansas City on their first opening drive TD in the last 12 games. And what do we remember it by? Is a botched hold. And it's so unfortunate. I just don't get what's going on with special teams. And then I don't know if I'll get this in order, but we're going to discuss it though, is I think on this one was Kadarius Toney. It's like, nobody on this team can field the punt. I can't tell you how many times I'm on the edge of my seat just hoping someone fair catches a punt, hoping they field it correctly. Honestly, I don't even want to see a punt return no more. Honestly, I don't even want a punt returner back there anymore, basically. Kadarius Toney is probably our best fielding at punt returns. Maybe you could throw Justin Watson in there too. And he tried to make a play, and he made a play for the Denver Broncos, and they ended up recovering. And then on the next play, a 20-yard run touchdown, and we're just like, what are we doing? That's why I say Kansas City gave up 4 points, but also they gave up a touchdown too, because the defense was right back on the field when they didn't expect it to be, and Denver scores on the very next play. And then the missed field goal too. Honestly, a lot of us thought it was Bucker, and I didn't, because I was like, when I saw the kick and I saw how weird the ball kind of spiraled, I knew it was deflected, and it's just very unfortunate. And that's just 3 huge special team miscues, and it just seems like it's an every week thing. It's so inconsistent. I want to see that ship righted, and it just seems like it doesn't happen. We got one more week to do it before playoffs, and I just don't know if it'll happen. The craziest thing with all this is Dave Toub. He is one of the best, if not greatest, special team coaches out there, and he has struggled immensely this year. I don't expect him to come back next year with how the special teams have struggled and how they haven't been able to correct it. Again, I don't care who you put the blame on at the end of the day. If it's Tommy Townsend holding the snap, if it's Bucker missing kicks, whoever's returning kickoffs, if the core is just so young. This is something that we should have seen improvement throughout the season, and it just tends to get worse. Yes, we dealt with the Sky Moore dilemma where he was muffing punts, and now it just seems like anyone back there is just struggling. It's like, at the end of the day, it's coaching, and you have to get these guys right out there and make sure that they are able to play their best, and it just hasn't happened on special teams, and it has been crazy and unfortunate, and it's very, very concerning, because at the end of the day, special teams can really cost this team a chance at a Super Bowl. I mean, if you look at the playoff run, I'm afraid of every team. I know in Chiefs Kingdom, and I do in times past, it's like, oh, I'm excited to play the Steelers or the Ravens or the Dolphins. You name it, you mark a game, and you mark the teams you don't want to see. At the end of the day, every game can be a tough matchup, and that's because the special teams will keep every team in a game, and that is gut-wrenching. And it's something that I will be so upset about if the special teams cost this team a chance at a Super Bowl run, and if they're in the Super Bowl, cost them a ring, because that's how huge special teams is. And we have taken it for granted for years, but this year, not at all, because we've seen the struggles have been mighty, and we need to get that ship righted. Like, forget about it all. Like, once it's playoff time, so guys need to tighten these screws and realize, hey, there is no more time for turnovers anymore. And now we're going to speak on turnovers, because we already mentioned the fumble, and then now we're going to focus on Mahomes' interception, which, yes, it was on Mahomes. All day, every day. But at the end of the day, I'm going to also blame coaching, because it's just ridiculous. You guys hear me, week in and week out. Please take the pressure off of his shoulders. Yes, he's the MVP, and yes, he can handle it all day, every day. But coaching in this game on all three phases, to me, was below average, and on the offense as well, because we abandoned the run game. We know Denver's secondary is elite, but when it became in the red zone, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, run the damn ball. I don't care if it picks up 1, 2, 3 yards. On first down, see what it does, and then let's do something on second down to create something. But when you're throwing on first, second, and third down, you're basically saying, Mahomes, do your magic and make it happen. And yes, 9 times out of 10 he will. But you see in the red zone, specifically against a great Denver secondary, it's not easy, and it hasn't been easy. You got 2 great backs, one exceptionally well in Jerick McKinnon in the receiving game, who had 2 touchdowns. He's had, 8, 9 touchdowns in the last 5 games? I don't know where this fountain of youth has came from, but I am loving it. But the thing that really concerned me was the absence of Isaiah Pacheco, because he is the guy in the red zone who he's going to ground, and he is definitely going to pound. And when it is first and goal 10 yards away, 9 times out of 10, he will lower his shoulder and pick up 3, 4, or 5, and then let's do something from there. But when you're throwing on first and 10, or first and goal at the 10, and you don't pick up nothing, then it's second and goal at the 10. It's like, okay, now we're kind of getting ourselves in a situation. Then you throw again. Now it's third and goal at the 10, and what happens? Mahomes definitely feels the pressure and definitely feels like he's got to make a play, and he forces a pass, and Justin Simmons intercepts it. Again, yes, it was Mahomes' fault, but at the end of the day, coaching puts Mahomes in terrible positions, and we saw that throughout the second half, and it is inexcusable. And also, too, again, I don't know if this is a Kansas City Chief thing, but I'm also tired of it, too. Every time the Denver Broncos end up getting a lead and Kansas City answers back, I wish Kansas City would play with that intensity throughout the game where they feel like they're behind constantly, because when they do get behind, they tend to score again, but when they have the lead, it's like, conservative, let's try to ease through this and let's have fun. And it's just ridiculous as well. Now, that might not have been the case in this game, but we've seen it in times past as well. And in this game, Mahomes struggled in the second half trying to connect with any receivers whatsoever. I think there was, 3 or 4 drops in a row between Kelsey, I think Moore, and then I think MVS. And I'm just like, help your quarterback out. And that's something you do not want to happen in the playoffs. Again, we are eking by, and I'm not going to take it for granted either, because this team is showing they can win games. That is huge, that they can win games. But at the end of the day, can you win these type of games against playoff caliber teams like the Buffalo Bills, like the Cincinnati Bengals? The LA Chargers are in there too, and they play their best football against us. When you play those teams, can you eke out those type of wins now? We're going to see, and it's going to come quickly, because at the end of the day, what Kansas City is doing is very, very rare, where you have a terrible turnover differential and your special team sucks and your defense has been average and your offense goes in struggling spurts. 9 times out of 10, a lot of teams don't find ways to win games. When you got Coach Reed and Patrick Mahomes, they find ways to win games, and it may not be the prettiest. I just don't know if that will hold up against the playoffs, and that's what gets me like in the edge of my seats and wondering, questioning at night and being like, can we make a deep playoff run into the Super Bowl? Because right now, I'm not so sure about it. Like, I know when it comes to playoff time, they flip the switch and they go crazy, but again, I have to see it. This is a different year. I'm not doubting this team whatsoever. It's just, I'm not feeling too comfortable about it either with all these question marks. And then we're going to go to maybe not the biggest question mark, because a lot of you can focus on special teams being your big question mark. But defense for me is definitely up there. And I don't want to slight the defense whatsoever, because they did have huge bright spots in this game. And Chris Jones sealed the game with a huge sack. So defense definitely ended this game on a huge note. And George Karlaftis, he is having a 3, 4, 5 game streak like no other, with 5.5 sacks in the last 6 games. He is coming on strong, and this defense is knowing how to deflect the ball at the line of scrimmage. Again, my thing with the defense is coaching, and we saw it, and I saw it early on, and I loved it. I loved it huge, because we saw all coming into this game that L'Jarius Sneed traveled with DK Metcalf last week. So it was going to be, who is he going to travel with in this game? And it looked like early on it was going to be Courtland Sutton, and they trusted Trent McDuffie with whoever in the slot, which was Jerry Jeudy. And I love that matchup. And it worked. And it happened throughout the game, and it still worked. But what happened was, Kansas City gets lost when you take Courtland Sutton out or you take Jerry Jeudy out, and then they go back to zone. And then it's just Denver's picking up yards like crazy. I would say keep playing that man defense and let them travel with whoever. Like, zone defense, I don't know. It irks my soul. It really does, because, again, 9 times out of 10, it's a bend but don't break type of defense. But Kansas City's defense has been bending and breaking. So you're not winning a lot whatsoever. So, and also, too, with the Denver Bronco offense, who struggled to score points this year, now, second game against Kansas City, they get over 20 points again, 24 to be exact. And it's just like, defense, what are we doing? And I know a lot of people are going to preach this too, is teams take it different when they play the Kansas City Chiefs, because that's their Super Bowl. And especially for the Denver Broncos too, because nobody wants to lose 15 in a row to this team. So I know you're going to get their best punch. But at the end of the day, you got to hope your team throws the best punch and shows you're not on our level either. And I know these rivalry games are different, but again, I come out of this game with a lot of questions being unanswered. And I feel like I'm saying that every single week. I didn't say it last week because the defense made huge strides. This week, I feel like it was a step back, because they kind of went back to their zone defense. Again, they made some phenomenal plays, and the rookies stepped up. I mentioned George Karlaftis. Trent McDuffie showed out today as well. He had a huge strip sack when it mattered the most, when Denver was driving at the end of the half, and made it count. And I'm just like, wow. But again, it meant a lot, but at the end of the day, special teams ruined that next drive, because I was ready to tweet, Mahomes in 11 seconds did his thing with a beautiful pass to Justin Watson. And hey, we've been all sliding Justin Watson, but he showed up with an amazing catch. And then Butker got his kick blocked, and that was very unfortunate. Again, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, Chiefs Kingdom. And it's unfortunate that they're not getting answered. But enough of the negatives, because there is positives out there. And like I mentioned, we already mentioned a few with Trent McDuffie showing out, George Karlaftis coming through. I'm going to mention 2 other ballers too, which Frank Clark, he may not be the sexiest name. He may be the one who gets a lot of Chiefs Kingdom mad because he got paid the bag a few years ago and his production doesn't show for it. Forget about it. This dude is playing relentless and speed off of the line, and he is looking better than ever. That speed is something Kansas City needs. He is tackling running backs. He is making a presence. He is getting pressures. Stop talking down on the dude, because he is going to be a difference maker in the playoffs if the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make a playoff push. And another guy we need to focus on, and maybe we will start seeing him transition into a top caliber cornerback, is L'Jarius Sneed. He had a key interception, even though, to be real, I don't know what the hell Russ was doing on that play, but you take what they give you, and he played very, very well too. I can't wait to see what the stats come out when he did travel Sutton, because he did really well covering Sutton. And also too, with Trent McDuffie, what you didn't want to see in this game is what didn't happen is Jerry Jeudy going for 3 touchdowns. McDuffie did his thing, and he was a thumper. He laid out Kendall Hinton on one where I was like, ooh, if you was paying attention to the ball, that might have been a pick 6, but hey, you let your presence be known. That physicality at a cornerback position is very rare. And to have two cornerbacks in L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie who will lay their shoulder and make a presence is something you like. And that is huge takeaways. And of course, now you transition back to the offensive side of the ball. What I really love to see, and which is kind of strange, honestly, we got to see a little more of Sky Moore. And why I say it's weird is because does Sky Moore really only know how to catch screen passes? I'm not questioning it, and he's really good at it, but it seems like that's the only thing we see from Sky Moore lately. I'd love to see how much he's learned from this playbook. Reed said he has basically grasped it and taken off with it. Let's get him more involved. Now, there was a huge catch he dropped. Also, too, it was a little behind him, but he definitely should have caught, and that was very unfortunate. But you've seen it, and I thought he was going to get his first touchdown on the screen, but every time, and I swear every week I mention it, he makes a play where it's like, kid has got talent and he is special. And I can't wait to see it basically elevate and take the next step because I do believe he can be a really good receiver in this league and maybe a top end slot receiver. We've been patient too long. Let's see him get more involved. Maybe it clicks in the playoffs and maybe he goes nuts. And of course, the fan favorite themselves. What about Jerick McKinnon here? I tweeted, I wish the dude was 25. Like, if you had Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco at such a young age and you have two stud running backs, this team would be difficult to stop if they committed to running the football. And again, it seems like when Mahomes struggles or when the offense struggles, Jerick McKinnon is the one to give them life. And again, an easy screen pass will do that. When you commit to running the ball, it's crazy what it'll do. It'll give this offense life. I wish the coaching staff, I wish the offensive coaching would notice that because Kansas City can literally be an unstoppable team if they committed to running the football. Just imagine how good this team would be if they ran the ball 20 to 25 times, involved Jerick McKinnon in like 6 to 8 passes. This would open up huge for Mahomes, and it just doesn't seem to click in the coaching's eyes. And I don't get it, but at the end of the day, Reed's resume is way better than mine. I'm a spectator just talking about it. So as hard as difficult it is for me, he's the one who knows how to win the games. And let's just hope when it comes playoff time, he's the one who knows how to bring us a Super Bowl ring. With that, Chiefs Kingdom, that is my initial reaction to the Kansas City Chiefs winning their 15th consecutive game over the Denver Broncos, sweeping them on the season on a final score of 27-24. We will have our season finale against the Las Vegas Raiders. It looks like it'll be Saturday, so we'll see how that goes. And the Raiders, they put up a game today, so that ain't gonna be no easy fight. But with that, I'm checking out. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment down below and let me know how you're feeling after this game. I'm going to check back in with y'all shortly. With that too, before I do sign out, the videos might be lagging a little throughout the week because I am going to be moving. That's why also too, this room is kind of empty right now. So if the audio seems worse than ever, that might be the case here. I'll try to make adjustments. I'll try to still check in with y'all. I will definitely get back before the game. We'll be in a new place. I don't know how it'll look, but we'll have fun with it. You'll get my live reaction, and we'll have fun. With that, y'all take care.